You wake up at 3 a.m., drenched in cold sweat. Your heart pounds, your mind races with worst-case scenarios. The promotion you didn't get, the relationship that's falling apart, the business deal that collapsed. You reach for your phone, desperate for distraction, for anything to quiet the storm inside your skull. But what if I told you that 2,000 years ago, a Roman emperor sitting in a war tent facing certain death had already solved this problem? What if the same mental exercises that helped Marcus Aurelius command legions, that helped Epictetus endure slavery with dignity, that helped Seneca face execution without flinching? What if these ancient warrior protocols could rewire your brain to become literally unbreakable? This isn't motivation. Motivation fades when things get hard. This is mental architecture. This is the systematic construction of a mind that grows stronger under pressure, calmer in chaos, and more focused when everything falls apart. By the end of this training, you'll possess 7 field-tested exercises, not theories, not inspirational quotes, but actual protocols that will fundamentally alter how your nervous system responds to adversity. You'll understand why Navy SEALs study Stoicism, why elite athletes hire philosophy coaches, and why the most successful people in 2026 are turning to 2,000-year-old wisdom while everyone else chases the latest productivity hack. The question is simple. Do you want to keep being controlled by your emotions, your circumstances, your fears? Or are you ready to become the kind of person who remains steady when the world burns around them? Let's forge that mind, starting now. Exercise 1. The Negative Visualization Protocol. Premeditatio Malorum. Every great warrior throughout history understood one fundamental truth. The thing you fear loses its power the moment you systematically confront it in your mind. The Stoics called this premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. But this isn't pessimism. This is strategic mental preparation that transforms you from a reactive victim into a prepared tactician. Here's what most people do. They avoid thinking about bad outcomes because it makes them uncomfortable. They practice toxic positivity. They tell themselves everything will work out fine. Then, when reality hits, and it always does, they're psychologically destroyed because they never prepared their mind for impact. The Stoics did the opposite. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the world, would begin each day by imagining everything that could go wrong, not to depress himself, but to build psychological immunity. He'd visualize losing his empire, his children dying, being betrayed by those closest to him. Why? Because when you mentally rehearse adversity, your amygdala, the fear center of your brain, begins to categorize these scenarios as familiar rather than catastrophic. Here's your protocol, and you execute this every single morning for the next 30 days. Set a timer for 10 minutes. Close your eyes. Systematically walk through your biggest fears with forensic detail. Losing your job, your business failing, your partner leaving, financial ruin, public humiliation, death of loved ones, your own death. But here's the critical part. Don't just imagine the event. Imagine yourself responding with dignity, with composure, with strategic action. See yourself adapting. See yourself finding the lesson. See yourself rebuilding. This isn't morbid. This is inoculation. Vaccines work by introducing a small dose of the virus so your immune system learns to fight it. Negative visualization works the same way for your psychological immune system. You're training your mind to recognize that even in your worst-case scenario, you have agency. You have the ability to respond rather than just react.
Seneca practiced this so thoroughly that when Nero finally ordered his execution, historical accounts describe him as completely calm, comforting his weeping friends, discussing philosophy as his blood drained away. That's not natural talent, that's the result of decades of mental rehearsal. The neuroscience backs this up completely. Research from anxiety treatment protocols shows that systematic exposure to feared scenarios in a controlled environment reduces amygdala activation and increases prefrontal cortex engagement, the part of your brain responsible for rational decision-making. You're literally rewiring your threat response system. But let's go deeper into implementation, because most people will do this once, feel uncomfortable, and quit. Here's how you make it stick. Week 1. Focus on professional and financial disasters. Visualize your income disappearing. How would you actually survive? What skills do you have? What could you sell? Who would help you? Walk through the practical steps. This removes the paralyzing "I don't know what I'd do" response and replaces it with "here's exactly what I'd do." Week 2. Relationship and social loss. Imagine the people closest to you leaving, dying, betraying you. Feel the grief, but then ask, would I survive this? Could I rebuild? Could I find meaning again? The answer is always yes, and your brain needs to know this at a visceral level. Week 3. Health and mortality. Your own death, your own incapacitation. What would matter in those final moments? What would you regret not doing? This isn't depressing. This is the most clarifying exercise you'll ever do. Every Stoic understood that meditating on death is the key to living fully. Week 4. Random catastrophes and chaos, economic collapse, natural disasters, sudden upheaval. Your mind needs to know that even in complete uncertainty, you have the ability to adapt, to endure, to find a way forward. Here's what happens after 30 days of this protocol. Situations that would have sent you spiraling now feel manageable. Your coworker's criticism doesn't destroy your day because you've already visualized being fired and surviving. The market crash doesn't paralyze you because you've already mapped out financial catastrophe and recovery. The relationship argument doesn't trigger panic because you've already confronted loss and knew you'd be okay. You become anti-fragile. Nassim Taleb's concept, but pure stoicism. You don't just resist breaking, you get stronger from the stress. One critical warning: this is not rumination. Rumination is passive, circular, anxiety-driven worry. Negative visualization is active, structured, solution-focused mental rehearsal. You're not dwelling in fear, you're systematically dismantling it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Nothing happens to any man that he is not formed by nature to bear." But you only discover this truth when you stop avoiding the thought of hardship and start training your mind to meet it head-on.
Exercise 2. The Dichotomy of Control Audit. The Warrior's Triage System. Imagine a soldier on a battlefield being shot at from multiple directions. If he tries to control where every bullet goes, he dies. But if he focuses only on his position, his aim, his breathing, his tactics, the things he actually controls, he has a chance. Your mind is that battlefield. Every single day you're being bombarded with things outside your control, and every ounce of mental energy you spend on them is energy you don't have for what actually matters. Epictetus, who went from slave to one of the most influential philosophers in history, built his entire teaching on one foundational principle: some things are within our control and some things are not. Sounds simple. It's the hardest thing you'll ever implement because your ego desperately wants to believe it controls more than it does. Here's the exercise that will change everything, and I want you to do this tonight. Take out a piece of paper or open a note on your phone. Draw a line down the middle. On the left side, write, "Within my control." On the right side, write, "Outside my control."
Now audit your current stress and mental energy. That project at work where your colleague isn't pulling their weight? Outside your control. You cannot control their effort level. What is in your control? Your own work quality, your communication about the issue, your decision to set boundaries, your choice to document problems, your ultimate decision to stay or leave if the situation doesn't improve. The political situation that enrages you every time you see the news? Outside your control. You cannot control political decisions, other people's votes, media narratives, or global events through anger and social media arguments. What is in your control? Whether you consume that content, how you respond emotionally, what local action you take, how you treat people with different views, what you actually do versus what you just complain about. Your partner's mood when they come home from work? Outside your control. You cannot control their emotional state, their job stress, their reactions. What is in your control? Your own emotional regulation, your response to their mood, your decision to give space or offer support, your ability to not take their stress personally. Here's where it gets radical. Even outcomes are largely outside your control. You can control your preparation for the job interview, but not whether you get hired. You can control your training for the competition, but not whether you win. You can control your effort in the relationship, but not whether it lasts. And this is where most people's brains short-circuit, because we've been conditioned to be outcome obsessed. We think focusing on outcomes drives success. The Stoics knew this was backwards. Focusing on outcomes creates anxiety, which degrades performance, which makes the outcome less likely. Focusing on process, the things you actually control, creates excellence, which makes good outcomes more likely while simultaneously removing your suffering if the outcome doesn't go your way. The implementation protocol. Every evening for the next 2 weeks, do a 5-minute dichotomy audit. List the 3 things that stressed you most that day. For each one, ask, what part of this was actually within my control? You'll be shocked how much energy you wasted on the uncontrollable column. Then ask, what action can I take tomorrow related only to what I control? This shifts you from victim mentality to agency. You stop catastrophizing about what might happen and start focusing on what you're actually going to do. Marcus Aurelius dealt with plagues, wars, betrayals, and the collapse of everything he built. His journal entry? You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. He wasn't being poetic. He was stating the fundamental operating system of a mind that doesn't break. The neuroscience is clear. When you focus on things outside your control, you activate chronic stress responses. Cortisol floods your system. Your prefrontal cortex goes offline. You literally become dumber and more reactive. But when you focus on what you can control, you activate the brain's task-positive network. You become solution-focused, creative, resilient. Here's the advanced level that separates beginners from masters. Eventually, you realize that even your thoughts and initial emotional reactions are not entirely within your control. You can't stop the first thought or the first flash of emotion, but what is always within your control is your response to that thought, your interpretation of that emotion, and what you choose to do next. Someone cuts you off in traffic. The flash of anger? Not controlled. But the choice to let it go versus ruminating for the next hour and ruining your day? Totally controlled. Your boss criticizes you unfairly. The sting of it? Not controlled. But your choice to respond professionally, to extract any useful feedback, to not internalize their dysfunction? Completely controlled. This is why Stoicism creates warriors. Warriors don't waste energy on things they can't change. They conserve every ounce of mental and physical energy for precise action on things they can change. That's why they survive when everyone else falls apart. Your challenge? For the next week, every time you feel stress, anger, anxiety, or frustration, stop and ask, is this within my control? If no, practice letting it go immediately. If yes, take action immediately or schedule when you will do it. Watch your stress levels drop by half just from this one practice.
Exercise 3. The Voluntary Discomfort Protocol. Comfort is the enemy. Here's a truth that will make you uncomfortable. You are weaker than you think you are. Not because you lack potential, but because you've systematically avoided every opportunity to discover and expand your capacity for endurance. The ancient Stoics understood something that modern neuroscience has now confirmed. Your comfort zone is a prison that shrinks every single day you stay in it. The zone of things you can tolerate, the range of discomfort you can endure, the threshold of your mental and physical resilience, all of it atrophies like an unused muscle when you prioritize comfort. Seneca, one of the richest men in Rome, would periodically sleep on the floor, eat only bread and water, and wear ragged clothes. Marcus Aurelius, emperor of the known world, would practice enduring cold, heat, hunger, and exhaustion. Were they masochists? No, they were training. Because here's what happens in real life. Comfort doesn't last. Loss comes, pain comes, hardship comes, and when it does, if you've spent years optimizing for comfort, you break. Your nervous system has no reference point for endurance. You've never proven to yourself that you can handle hard things, so when hard things arrive, you panic. But if you've systematically trained yourself to be comfortable being uncomfortable, adversity becomes just another state you know how to navigate. This is the Voluntary Discomfort Protocol, and it's non-negotiable if you want an unbreakable mind. Here's how you implement this, starting immediately. Physical discomfort training. Cold exposure is the fastest way to recalibrate your nervous system's relationship with discomfort. Every shower you take for the next 30 days, end it with 60 seconds of cold water, not lukewarm, actually cold as your shower goes. Why does this work? Your amygdala screams that this is dangerous, your body tenses, your breathing gets shallow, your mind says get out, get out, get out, but you stay. You control your breathing, you relax into it, and you prove to your nervous system that discomfort is not danger, that you can remain calm and functional even when every instinct says panic. This translates directly to every other stressor in your life. The difficult conversation you're avoiding, your nervous system will recognize it the same way it recognized the cold water, uncomfortable but survivable. The project that feels overwhelming, same pattern. Your brain learns, we've been uncomfortable before, we handled it, we'll handle this too. Nutritional discomfort training. Once a week, practice fasting. Skip breakfast and lunch. Go 16 to 24 hours with just water. Your body will protest. Your mind will tell you you're starving. You're not. Humans evolved to function through periods without food. But in 2026, most people panic if they miss a single meal. When you practice voluntary hunger, you discover your mind's ability to function despite physical discomfort. You realize how much of your perceived need to eat is just habit and emotional management, and you build the kind of mental endurance that makes you dangerous in any arena, because while everyone else is making decisions based on comfort and convenience, you're making them based on what's right and necessary. Environmental discomfort training. Seneca's advice, set aside a certain number of days during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with coarse and rough dress, saying to yourself the while, is this the condition that I feared? Practical application.
Sleep on the floor one night a week. Turn off the heat and endure the cold for an evening. Skip your morning coffee. Sit in a waiting room without your phone. Take the stairs when you're exhausted. Walk in the rain without an umbrella. These aren't arbitrary acts of self-punishment. Each one is a controlled exposure that expands your capacity to tolerate discomfort. Each one builds psychological calluses that protect you when real hardship hits. Social discomfort training. This is where it gets really powerful. Most people are controlled by social anxiety, fear of judgment, and the need for approval. So practice voluntary social discomfort. Ask for something you think will be rejected. Strike up a conversation with a stranger. Say no to something everyone expects you to say yes to. Express an unpopular opinion calmly. Admit you were wrong publicly. Wear something slightly outside your style comfort zone. Each time you do this, you prove to yourself that social discomfort won't kill you. The vast majority of the time, the feared consequence doesn't even happen. And when it does, when someone judges you, rejects you, disagrees with you, you survive. You learn that other people's opinions are not a physical threat. This is psychological freedom. Here's the weekly protocol I want you to follow. Monday, cold shower exposure, 60 to 90 seconds. Tuesday, physical challenge beyond your current capacity, extra mile, extra set, hold a plank until failure. Wednesday, intermittent fasting, 16+ hours. Thursday, environmental simplicity, minimal technology, basic food, basic entertainment. Friday, social discomfort exercise, one thing that makes you socially nervous. Weekend, one major comfort zone expansion, something that genuinely scares you. The pattern you're building is discomfort is not emergency. Your nervous system currently treats discomfort and danger as the same thing. Through systematic exposure, you teach it they're different. Discomfort is just sensation. Danger is actual threat. Once your brain makes this distinction, your stress levels drop by half and your capability doubles. Marcus Aurelius, you have power over your mind, not outside events, but you only truly own your mind when you've proven you can maintain control during discomfort. Otherwise, the first moment life gets hard, your mind betrays you and begs for escape. The modern warrior doesn't avoid hard things. The modern warrior seeks them out as training because they know that resilience isn't built in comfort. It's built in deliberate, controlled adversity that you choose before life forces it on you. Your comfort zone is not protecting you, it's weakening you. Step outside it intentionally, repeatedly, systematically. That's how you build a mind that never breaks.
Exercise 4. The view from above. Perspective training for existential calm. You're stuck in traffic, late for a meeting. Your jaw clenches, your heart rate elevates, your mind spins with anxiety about the consequences. In this moment, this traffic jam is the most important thing in the universe. Your entire consciousness is consumed by it. Now imagine a camera pulling back, up above your car, above the city, above the continent, into space. Your car is now invisible. The meeting doesn't exist at this scale. Your entire life is a microscopic blip on a planet spinning through an incomprehensibly vast universe that existed for billions of years before you and will exist for billions after. This is the view from above, one of the most powerful mental exercises in the Stoic arsenal. Marcus Aurelius practiced this constantly, writing, "Constantly regard the universe as one living being, having one substance and one soul, and observe how all things are submitted to the activity of the one cosmos, accomplished by a single movement, and are cooperating causes of all things that exist." This isn't nihilism. This isn't about making your life meaningless. This is about right-sizing your problems so they stop controlling you. Here's what happens in your brain during the view from above exercise. Your default mode network, the part of your brain that creates your sense of self and makes you the center of your own universe, temporarily quiets.
the same neural networks that activate during meditation and psychedelic experiences engage. You experience what neuroscientists call self-transcendence, and it has measurable effects on anxiety, depression, and stress resilience. The implementation protocol. Daily micro-perspective shifts. Several times throughout your day, when you notice stress rising, practice the rapid zoom out. Whatever you're stressed about, ask, will this matter in 5 years? Most things won't. If it won't matter in 5 years, it doesn't deserve to hijack your emotional state right now. Go further. Will this matter in 100 years? Almost nothing you're currently worried about will exist as even a memory in 100 years. Go further still. In the scope of the universe, does this matter? The answer is always no, and that's liberating, not depressing. It means you get to choose what you assign significance to, rather than having significance forced on you by circumstance. Weekly spatial perspective exercise. Once a week, find 15 minutes of solitude. Close your eyes and practice the view from above systematically. Start with your body. Feel yourself sitting or standing. Notice your breath, your heartbeat, the small physical sensations. You are in your body. Pull back to the room you're in. See yourself as just one object in this space. You are in a room. Pull back to the building. See the building from outside, perhaps from a drone's perspective. You are in a structure with hundreds or thousands of other people, all having their own complete internal universes. Pull back to your city. Millions of people, millions of stories, millions of problems they think are the most important thing in the world. Your problems are one set among millions. Pull back to the continent. Hundreds of millions of lives. Your entire life story could fit in a footnote. Pull back to the planet. 8 billion humans, each the center of their own universe. Wars, loves, achievements, disasters, all happening simultaneously. The thing you're worried about is invisible at this scale. Pull back to the solar system. Earth is a pale blue dot. Everything that has ever happened in human history happened on that dot. Pull back to the galaxy. The sun is one of 400 billion stars. Most have their own planets. The scale is incomprehensible. Pull back to the observable universe. 2 trillion galaxies. The human mind cannot actually grasp this scale. And in all that incomprehensible vastness, you are worried about an email, a bill, a criticism, a setback. Then zoom back in, reverse order until you're back in your body. Notice how you feel. The problems didn't disappear, but they've been right-sized. They're manageable now. You've gained perspective. Temporal perspective exercise. Not just spatial scale, but temporal scale. Your life is roughly 80 years if you're lucky. Written human history is about 5,000 years. Anatomically modern humans have existed about 300,000 years. The Earth is 4.5 billion years old. The universe is 13.8 billion years old. Your embarrassing moment last week? Invisible in temporal scope. Your career setback, a microsecond. The grudge you're holding, completely meaningless against the timeline of existence. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself, soon you'll be ashes or bones, a mere name at most, and even that is just a sound, an echo. The things we want in life are empty, stale, and trivial. He wasn't being morbid, he was freeing himself from the tyranny of taking temporary things too seriously. Here's where this gets practical and powerful. When facing a difficult decision, practice temporal perspective. Ask, what would my 80-year-old self advise right now? Your future self has the perspective you lack in the moment. They know which risks were worth taking. They know which relationships mattered. They know which fears were baseless. Channel that wisdom now. When facing criticism or judgment, practice the Aurelius exercise. Imagine all the people who have criticized you throughout history are now dust. Their opinions, which felt so important in the moment, died with them. The criticism you're receiving today will be equally forgotten, so why give it power over your peace of mind? When facing loss or disappointment, practice the cosmic perspective. Stars explode, galaxies collide, species go extinct, civilizations fall. Change is the only constant in a universe defined by entropy. Your loss is not an anomaly, it's the universe operating exactly as it always has. This doesn't minimize your grief, but it removes the "why me" suffering. It's not personal, it's just the nature of existence. The view from above doesn't make you cold or detached, it makes you free. Free from the tiny prison of your ego's perspective. Free from the illusion that your problems are uniquely important. Free to choose what actually deserves your energy and attention. Implement this daily and watch what happens. The traffic doesn't bother you as much. The social media argument feels absurd. The workplace drama seems childish. The existential anxiety about your purpose softens because you realize that in a universe this vast and ancient, there is no supposed to. There's only what you choose to do with your microscopic moment of consciousness. You become like Marcus Aurelius, who ruled an empire but never lost sight of the fact that he was a temporary arrangement of atoms that would soon return to the cosmos. And from that perspective, he found not despair, but liberation, the freedom to focus on what actually mattered, living with virtue, treating people well, doing his duty with excellence, and maintaining peace of mind regardless of circumstance. That's the warrior's perspective, zoomed out enough to see clearly, but zoomed in enough to act decisively.
Exercise 5. The Morning and Evening Inventory. Systematic self-examination. Every elite military unit conducts after-action reviews. Every high-performing athlete watches game film. Every successful business runs regular audits. But most people go through life completely unexamined, making the same mistakes repeatedly, never learning from their reactions, never improving their mental operating system. The Stoics understood that an unexamined life isn't just not worth living, it's a guarantee of mediocrity and suffering. Seneca wrote extensively about the practice of daily self-examination, stating, "The spirit ought to be brought up for examination daily." This wasn't optional for him, it was the foundation of growth. Here's why this matters more than you think. Your mind operates on pattern recognition. Every situation you encounter, your brain searches its database for similar past experiences and runs the same response protocol. If you've never examined those responses, never questioned whether they actually serve you, you're essentially a robot running unconscious programming. The person who hurt you yesterday triggers the same reaction as the person who hurt you 10 years ago, even though they're completely different people in completely different contexts. Why? Because you never examined the pattern. You never asked, is this response making my life better or worse? The morning and evening inventory creates a feedback loop of conscious improvement. You're not just living life, you're optimizing how you live life. The morning inventory. Before you check your phone, before you jump into the chaos of the day, you take control of your mind. Seneca's morning practice was to prepare for the day ahead by considering what challenges might arise and how he wanted to respond to them. Your morning protocol. Step 1. Anticipate the day's challenges. What difficult situations will you likely face today? A challenging meeting? A difficult person? A task you've been avoiding? An uncomfortable conversation? Write them down or mentally note them. Step 2. Predetermined response. For each challenge, decide in advance how you want to respond. Not how you think you will respond, but how your highest self would respond. If someone criticizes you today, how will you respond?
With defensiveness or with curiosity about whether there's truth in it? If something doesn't go your way, how will you respond? With complaint or with adaptation? If you're tempted to waste time, how will you respond? With discipline or with rationalization? Step 3. Reinforce your principles. Remind yourself of who you're trying to become. Marcus Aurelius would literally write in his journal each morning, reminding himself of his principles. Today, I will meet people who are meddling, ungrateful, violent, treacherous, envious, and antisocial. They are this way because they don't know the difference between good and bad. He wasn't being cynical. He was mentally preparing himself not to be surprised or thrown off by behavior that would have destroyed his peace if unexpected. You do the same. Remind yourself, I will face setbacks today. I will face people acting from their own pain and limitations. I will face things I cannot control, but I can control my response. I can maintain my composure. I can act according to my values regardless of circumstance. Future, set your intention. What's the one most important thing you want to accomplish today? Not the longest to-do list, but the single thing that would make today meaningful if nothing else got done. Set that intention clearly. This entire process takes 5 to 10 minutes but changes everything. You're going from reactive mode to intentional mode. You're telling your unconscious mind, this is who we are today. This is how we respond. This is what matters. The evening inventory. This is where the real transformation happens. Seneca's nightly practice was rigorous self-examination without self-judgment. He would ask himself 3 questions about the day that just passed. Question 1, what did I do wrong? Not to beat yourself up, but to identify patterns that don't serve you. Did you lose your temper when someone criticized you? Did you avoid a difficult conversation? Did you waste 3 hours scrolling when you had important work? Did you eat emotions instead of processing them? Did you say yes when you should have said no? Write these down. Be specific. I got angry is too vague. When my coworker questioned my approach in the meeting, I responded defensively instead of listening to understand their concern is useful data. Question 2, what did I do right? This balances the inventory. You're not just flagging failures, you're reinforcing wins. Did you maintain composure under pressure? Did you have the difficult conversation instead of avoiding it? Did you stick to your plan despite temptation? Did you treat someone with kindness when you could have been harsh? Did you do the hard thing instead of the easy thing? Write these down too. Your brain needs positive reinforcement for patterns you want to strengthen. Question 3, what did I leave undone that should have been done? This is about alignment between values and actions. You say family is important, but did you actually call your parents? You say health is a priority, but did you move your body? You say you're working on that project, but did you actually work on it or just think about working on it? The gap between what you say matters and what you actually do is where self-deception lives. This question exposes it. Advanced implementation. Track patterns over time. Do this for 30 days and you'll notice recurring themes. Do you lose your temper in the same situations? Do you avoid the same types of challenges? Do you break the same commitments to yourself repeatedly? These patterns are gifts. They're showing you exactly where your operating system needs upgrading. Seneca called it, the consciousness of doing wrong is the first step to salvation. You can't fix what you don't see. Monthly deep dive. Once a month, review your daily inventories. Look for themes. Ask bigger questions. Am I becoming who I want to become? Are my daily actions aligned with my stated values? What patterns am I still running that don't serve me? What new capabilities have I built this month? Where am I lying to myself? This isn't therapy, though it's therapeutic. This isn't journaling, though you're writing. This is systematic behavior modification based on empirical observation of your own patterns. Marcus Aurelius's Meditations, one of the most influential books in history, was literally his evening inventory. He was writing to himself, examining his own thoughts and actions, reminding himself of his principles, catching himself in patterns of suffering, and redirecting himself towards wisdom. He wasn't naturally serene. He built serenity through daily examination and course correction. Here's what changes after 30 days of this practice. You stop making the same mistakes repeatedly because you're actually learning from them. You stop being confused about why you're not making progress because you can see exactly where you're sabotaging yourself. You stop living unconsciously because you've installed a daily consciousness feedback loop. The gap between who you are and who you want to be starts closing because you're measuring it every single day and making micro adjustments. This is how warriors are built. Not through motivation or inspiration, but through systematic daily examination and improvement. Your morning inventory arms you. Your evening inventory educates you. Together, they create a closed-loop system of continuous optimization. Most people will read this and do it once, maybe twice, then stop. They'll say it's too much work, too time-consuming, too uncomfortable to confront their patterns honestly. Those people will remain exactly as they are. The ones who commit to this daily practice will be unrecognizable in 6 months. Because while everyone else is running the same unconscious patterns year after year, you're debugging your operating system daily and upgrading consciously. That's not just self-improvement, that's systematic self-transformation. And it starts tonight.
Exercise 6. The obstacle is the way. Turning resistance into fuel. Right now, you have something blocking your path. A problem that won't go away. A person who's making things difficult. A limitation you can't overcome. A failure you can't accept. And every day, you wake up wishing this obstacle wasn't there. Burning energy on frustration and resentment, treating it as the enemy of your progress. The Stoics would tell you that you're looking at it completely backwards. Marcus Aurelius wrote one of the most revolutionary statements in philosophy. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. This isn't clever wordplay. This is a fundamental reframing of reality that transforms every challenge from a setback into an opportunity. Every obstacle you face is not blocking your path. It is your path. It's the exact training you need to become who you're trying to become. Remove the obstacle, and you remove the opportunity for growth. The universe isn't punishing you with challenges. It's offering you customized training designed specifically for your development. Listen carefully, because this will change everything. There is no version of success that doesn't involve obstacles. The only question is whether you're going to fight against them and suffer, or use them and grow. Here's the protocol for turning obstacles into advantages. Step 1. Identify your current primary obstacle. What's the one thing blocking you right now? Maybe it's a financial constraint. Maybe it's a difficult boss. Maybe it's a health limitation. Maybe it's a skill gap. Maybe it's a relationship conflict. Maybe it's your own procrastination or self-doubt. Be specific. Life is hard is too vague. I don't have the capital to scale my business, or I don't have the technical skills for the promotion I want, or I've been rejected by the last 5 investors. That's specific enough to work with. Step 2. Find the hidden advantage. This is where most people fail because their ego is too invested in victimhood. Your job is to ask, how is this obstacle actually serving me? Financial constraint? It's forcing you to be creative, to build with less, to develop resourcefulness that people with unlimited resources never develop. Most billion-dollar companies started in garages because limitation breeds innovation. Abundance breeds waste. Difficult boss?
They're giving you free training in dealing with difficult people, in managing up, in maintaining your composure under pressure, in setting boundaries. Skills you'll use for the rest of your career. You could pay thousands for executive coaching on these exact skills, but you're getting it for free. Health limitation? It's teaching you to optimize what you have instead of taking your body for granted. It's developing mental resilience that healthy people never build. It's forcing you to find alternative paths instead of brute forcing everything. Skill gap? It's showing you exactly what you need to learn next. Most people waste years learning random things. Your obstacle is giving you a curriculum. Rejection? It's filtering for the right fit. Every no is saving you from a wrong path and directing you toward a right one. It's also building your rejection tolerance, which is the #1 predictor of success in any field. Step 3. Extract the lesson and apply it. Don't just intellectually recognize the advantage, leverage it actively. If limitation is your obstacle, ask, how can I use constraint as a forcing function for creativity? Set artificial constraints on other projects. Use the skill you're building. If a difficult person is your obstacle, ask, what specific skill am I building here? Then consciously practice that skill. If it's patience, practice patience deliberately. If it's boundary setting, set boundaries consciously. You're in a free training program. Maximize the learning. If failure is your obstacle, ask, what did this failure teach me that success never would? Extract the data. What assumptions were wrong? What approach didn't work? What did you learn about yourself? Failure is only failure if you don't learn. If you learn, it's research. Step 4. Reframe the narrative. Your brain is constantly telling you stories about what things mean. This obstacle means I'm not good enough. This challenge means I should quit. This setback means I'm on the wrong path. These are just stories, not facts. The Stoic reframe is, this obstacle is exactly what I need right now to develop the capability I'm currently lacking. Marcus Aurelius didn't become a great emperor despite the wars, plagues, and betrayals he faced. He became a great emperor because of them. The challenges developed capabilities in him that peace never would have. Your obstacles are not evidence that you're on the wrong path. They're evidence that you're on a path that's actually challenging enough to transform you. Historical examples to internalize. Thomas Edison didn't fail 10,000 times. He discovered 10,000 ways that don't work, information that led directly to the solution. The obstacles weren't preventing his success, they were creating the knowledge base that made success possible. Nelson Mandela didn't become a transformational leader despite 27 years in prison. Those years stripped away his ego, deepened his perspective, forced him to develop emotional mastery, and gave him moral authority that no amount of political success could have provided. The obstacle became his qualification. Beethoven didn't create his greatest works despite going deaf. He created them because deafness forced him to hear music in a completely different way, to compose from pure internal imagination rather than external sound. The limitation unlocked capability. J.K. Rowling didn't succeed despite rejection and poverty. Those circumstances gave her the time to fully develop her craft, the hunger to persist, and the perspective to write about overcoming darkness that resonated with millions. The obstacles created the conditions for success. Modern application. You're facing economic uncertainty? Perfect. You're being forced to build skills in adaptation and resourcefulness that will serve you for decades. People who succeed in stable times often fail when conditions change. You're building change resilience right now. You're facing competition? Excellent. Competition forces you to be better. It prevents complacency. It gives you a standard to measure against. Every market leader was once an underdog, using competition as motivation to innovate. You're facing your own limitations: discipline, focus, confidence. This is the obstacle that matters most, and it's revealing itself so you can address it. You could have gone years unaware of this limitation, letting it sabotage you invisibly. Now it's visible. Now you can work on it. The practice. Every time you encounter a setback this week, pause before reacting. Ask, how is this serving me? Not someday in the future when you're past it, but right now. What capability is this building? What am I learning? What weakness is this revealing that I need to address? Document this. Write down the obstacle and the advantage you found. Do this for 30 days and you'll rewire your automatic response to adversity. Right now, your brain sees obstacle and thinks threat, problem, setback, maybe I should quit. After 30 days of this practice, your brain sees obstacle and thinks opportunity, training, data. This is where I grow. That's not positive thinking. That's not toxic optimism. That's the warrior mindset that made the Stoics inconquerable. They didn't have fewer obstacles than other people. They had a different relationship with obstacles. The fire that burns the unprepared forges the prepared. The same adversity that destroys the weak strengthens the strong. The difference is not the circumstance, it's the response. Your obstacles are not in your way. They are the way. Stop fighting them. Start using them.
Exercise 7. Memento Mori. Death as the ultimate teacher. You will die. Everyone you love will die. Everything you've built will crumble. Your name will be forgotten. In 100 years, maybe less, it will be as if you never existed. Everything you're worried about right now, your reputation, your possessions, your status, your achievements, will mean exactly nothing. How does reading that make you feel? Anxious? Depressed? Nihilistic? Then you're missing the entire point of what might be the most powerful Stoic practice. Memento Mori. Remember, you must die. The Stoics didn't meditate on death to become morbid. They did it to become alive, to become free, to become clear about what actually matters in the limited time they had. Marcus Aurelius kept this at the front of his mind constantly. You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. Not someday, right now. Today could be your last day. This conversation could be your last conversation. This decision could be your final act. Seneca wrote, "Let us prepare our minds as if we'd come to the very end of life. Let us postpone nothing. Let us balance life's books each day." He understood the awareness of death isn't depressing, it's clarifying. It cuts through all the bullshit instantly. Here's what happens when you genuinely internalize your mortality. The petty conflicts dissolve. You're not going to waste your precious limited time being angry at someone for a minor slight. That argument you're having? Irrelevant if you knew this was your last week alive. The material pursuits lose their grip. The car, the house, the watch, the clothes. You can't take any of it with you. The Roman emperors were buried in the same dirt as slaves. Your bank account balance means nothing to the grave. The fear of judgment evaporates. Everyone judging you will also be dead soon. Their opinions will die with them. Why are you organizing your life around the temporary thoughts of temporary people? The clarity about relationships sharpens. Who would you want to talk to if you had one day left? Who would you want to reconcile with? Why are you waiting? Why are you holding grudges against people you love when both of you could be gone tomorrow? The urgency about purpose intensifies. What would you regret not doing? What would you regret not becoming? What would you regret not saying?
Why aren't you doing, becoming, saying those things right now? This is the power of Memento Mori. It's not about being morbid, it's about being honest. You have a limited number of days, and that number is unknowable and non-negotiable. The only question is whether you're going to live those days with intention or waste them in distraction, postponement, and fear. The daily practice. Every single morning, before you do anything else, I want you to say out loud or write, "I could die today." Not "I might die someday." Today. This could be your final sunrise. This could be your final morning. Then ask yourself 3 questions. Question 1. If this were my last day, how would I want to spend it? You won't actually be able to spend it that way most days. You have obligations, responsibilities, work. But the question reveals what you value. And over time, you can start moving your actual days closer to how you'd want to spend your last day. If your answer is, "I'd spend it with people I love," but you're spending it alone working on things that don't matter, you're getting data about misalignment. If your answer is, "I'd create something meaningful," but you're spending it consuming content, you're getting data about wasted potential. Question 2. What would I regret not doing today? Not someday, today. If you died tonight, what would you wish you'd done today? Had that conversation? Made that call? Started that project? Apologized? Expressed love? Took that risk? Stood up for something? Created something? Do it today, because tomorrow is not guaranteed. Question 3. What am I doing that won't matter when I'm gone? This is the cutting question, the one that exposes all the ego-driven, fear-based, status-seeking, comparison-driven nonsense that fills your days. The social media argument won't matter. The expensive purchase to impress people won't matter. The grudge you're holding won't matter. The hour you spent scrolling won't matter. The fear what people think won't matter. Death is the ultimate perspective tool. It reveals what's real and what's illusion. The weekly practice. Once a week, do a deeper mortality meditation. Set a timer for 10 minutes. Close your eyes and vividly imagine your own death. Not the moment of it necessarily, but the aftermath. Your funeral. Who's there? What are they saying about you? What did your life mean to them? What did you actually contribute? What did you leave behind? Then imagine it's 20 years later. You're largely forgotten. Maybe a few people still mention your name occasionally, but the details are fuzzy. Your possessions have been sold or thrown away. Your achievements have been surpassed. The things you worried about have been completely forgotten. Then imagine it's 100 years later. You're completely gone. No one alive remembers you. It's as if you never existed, except perhaps as a name on a family tree that no one looks at. This isn't nihilism, this is honesty. And from this honesty comes incredible freedom. Because if none of the external stuff matters, the status, the possessions, the reputation, what does matter? The Stoics had a clear answer: how you lived. Whether you lived with virtue, whether you treated people well, whether you acted with courage, wisdom, justice, and self-control, whether you were true to your principles, whether you used your limited time to become better and to make things better. That's it. That's what survives, not as legacy, but as the actual content of the life you lived. The monthly practice. Every month, write your own eulogy. Not the one you hope someone else will give, but the honest one based on how you're actually living right now. He spent most of his time scrolling social media and worrying about what people thought of him. He postponed his dreams until it was too late. He held grudges against people he loved. He never took the risks he wanted to take because he was afraid of failure. He died with his music still in him. Harsh? Maybe, but necessary, because this is the trajectory you're on if you don't change. Death doesn't care about your potential. It only cares about what you actually did. Then write the eulogy you want, the one that reflects who you're trying to become. He lived with courage. He treated people with kindness, even when it was hard. He pursued what mattered to him despite fear. He made mistakes but learned from them. He was present with the people he loved. He created. He grew. He contributed. He lived fully until he couldn't anymore. The advanced practice. The 5 remembrances. The Buddhist tradition has a practice that complements Memento Mori perfectly. Every day, contemplate these 5 truths. I am of the nature to age. I have not gone beyond aging. I am of the nature to sicken. I have not gone beyond sickness. I am of the nature to die. I have not gone beyond dying. Everything and everyone I love will change, and I will be separated from them. I am the owner of my actions. Whatever actions I do, good or bad, I will inherit their results. This isn't nihilism, this is honesty. And accepting reality is the foundation of all wisdom. When you internalize these truths, everything changes. You stop postponing joy because you might not have tomorrow. You stop waiting for perfect conditions because conditions will never be perfect and time is running out. You stop holding back love because the people you love could be gone at any moment. You stop avoiding hard things because avoiding them is wasting the limited time you have. Marcus Aurelius was the most powerful man in the world, and he could have had anything he wanted. But what he wanted was to live well in the time he had. Listen to what he wrote in his journal. Do not act as if you were going to live 10,000 years. Death hangs over you. While you live, while it is in your power, be good. He died at 58. He didn't get 10,000 years. He got 58, and he used them to become one of the most influential philosophers in history, not despite being emperor, but by bringing philosophy into how he ruled. Your final challenge. For the next 30 days, I want you to live every single day as if it might be your last in one specific way. Do not postpone what matters. The project you've been thinking about, start it today. The person you need to talk to, call them today. The habit you need to build, begin it today. The forgiveness you need to offer it today. The risk you need to take it today.
Conclusion. The Integration Protocol. You now have 7 exercises that, if implemented, will fundamentally rewire how your mind responds to pressure, adversity, fear, and uncertainty. But knowledge without implementation is just entertainment. Most people will read this, feel inspired for about 48 hours, then return to their default programming. Don't be most people. Here's your 30-day integration protocol to make this permanent. Week 1, Foundation. Morning, Dichotomy of Control Audit, 5 minutes, plus negative visualization, 10 minutes. Evening, Daily Inventory, 10 minutes, plus Memento Mori, 5 minutes. 1 physical discomfort practice daily, 1 view from above exercise. Week 2, Deepening. Continue Week 1 practices. Add, actively apply, the obstacle is the way to 1 challenge. Increase cold exposure to 90 seconds. Add voluntary social discomfort twice this week. Week 3, Expansion. Continue all previous practices. Add weekly deep mortality meditation. Add fasting day. Write your current and desired eulogy. Week 4, Mastery. All practices integrated. Begin tracking patterns in your inventory. Teach one of these principles to someone else. Teaching equals mastery. Assess transformation. How has your response to stress changed? The non-negotiables. Daily morning inventory, 5 minutes, no exceptions. Daily evening inventory, 10 minutes, no exceptions. Cold exposure, 60+ seconds, no exceptions. 1 voluntary discomfort per day, no exceptions. The measure of success.
You're not trying to become emotionless. You're not trying to become invulnerable. You're building a mind that remains functional under pressure when others panic, recovers from setbacks faster than before, makes decisions based on values rather than fears, maintains composure when circumstances are chaotic, finds opportunity in obstacles that crush others, lives with purpose because it understands impermanence. This is what an unbreakable mind looks like. Not unbreakable because nothing affects it, but unbreakable because it can be bent, stressed, pressured, and it returns to center. It adapts, it endures, it grows from the stress. The ancient Stoics were warriors, statesmen, slaves, and emperors. Different circumstances, same philosophy. Why? Because these principles work regardless of your situation. They worked in ancient Rome. They worked in Nazi concentration camps where Viktor Frankl applied them. They work in Navy SEAL training. They work in Fortune 500 boardrooms. They work in your life right now, today. But only if you actually do the work. Marcus Aurelius didn't write Meditations for publication. He wrote it for himself as a daily reminder to stay on course. 2,000 years later, we're reading his private journal because he lived these principles so thoroughly that his thoughts became timeless. You won't become Marcus Aurelius in 30 days, but you will become stronger, clearer, and more resilient than you are today. And that's enough. Because this isn't about perfection, it's about progress. It's about building a mind that serves you rather than betrays you. The war is internal. The enemy is chaos, fear, reactivity, and unconscious programming. The victory is self-mastery. You have the weapons now. 7 exercises tested across millennia, proven in the hardest circumstances humans have ever faced. The only question left is, will you use them? Or will you stay as you are, reactive, overwhelmed, controlled by circumstances you can't control, wasting energy on things that don't matter, postponing what does? The choice, as the Stoics constantly reminded themselves, is entirely yours. That's the gift and the burden of consciousness. You can't control what happens, but you always control how you respond. Choose the warrior's path. Start today. Start now. Your mind is waiting to be forged.